Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be giving you my Sagittarius February 2022 horoscope forecast. And yes, this does apply and pertain to the Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. Anyway, first thing up, as far as February goes, the Sun will be in Aquarius from the 1st until the 18th, so the third house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time, Sagittarius, there could be a focus on, it could be, as far as communications go, ones where you may be communicating about electronics, computers, a focus on those kind of communications about your future. It might also shine the light on an eccentric or ingenious sibling, cousin, or neighbor. The Sun is also connected with the biological father and children, so it could also be where these people may factor in more in short journeys. They may be, these people may be Aquarius, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant people, or simply ones that embody Aquarius characteristics. It could also be, really at this time as well, putting your focus and attention on selflessness with your neighbors, on selflessly helping them, perhaps also siblings and cousins as well at this time. And it can be a time too where your life at this time may feel as if it just it's really focused on doing things associated with communications, with your short journeys, with cousins, neighbors, siblings at this time. And also too, even it could also be a time too where you might, the Sun is about our energy and vitality. And this is where the third house matters, is where a lot of energy and vitality will be expended on. It could be very spontaneous, unpredictable, short journeys, as an example. Anyway, well, the Sun will be in Pisces as far as February goes from the 18th until the 28th. So the fourth house is what will be emphasized and highlighted for Sagittarius. Well, this could manifest in a number of ways. It can be where there may be strong focus and attention on sacrificing family-related matters, people you're close to home with, the less dominant parent, which is often the mother. It may also shine the light, so to speak, on a deceptive or duplicitous family member or someone you're close to home with. But it could also put your attention and focus perhaps on a nebulous or unclear situation for your latter part of life. And it might be, if you're currently not in that latter part of life, I would say that could apply. And it could also be a time to where also as well, this could be a time where your drive and motivation is to be doing, it is really could be tied in with your roots and ancestry. Maybe sacrificing a lot of your time to get in touch with them, and also focus and attention on forgiving family members or expressing compassion toward them at this point in time. Pisces, energy, is about seeing the whole picture. So it might be a time where you might be focused on seeing that whole picture with family members, people you're close to home with, the less dominant parent, which is often the mother at this time. And also being driven and motivated toward Piscean traditions. It could be things associated with water, like swimming or canoeing, rafting, or it can be doing something with the metaphysical, which includes astrology or poetry or dancing or photography, as some examples. Now, the next thing up, there'll be a new moon in Aquarius on February 1st. So for a third house, what will be emphasized and highlighted for Sagittarius at this time, Sagittarius, it could be the beginning of could be some kind of Aquarius writing. It could be something with astrology or computers, electronics, the future, science fiction, as some examples. It might be a time where you begin to express selflessness or more altruism with your neighbors, with siblings, with cousins at this time. Uh, it can also be a time, where you might begin. I mean, the moon is connected with our safety and security as well. So it may also be a time where you want to begin to feel more safe and more secure um, in your neighborhood. And it might be through setting your home up with a high-tech computer electronic alarm system. Um, it could also be a time to, when you look at this transit, maybe it's the rekindling of some connection, maybe from your early education with somebody that was prominent in your early education. Maybe it could be an Aquarius, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant person, or simply one that embodies Aquarius characteristics. Now, the next thing up, there's going to be a full moon in Leo on February 16th. So for Sagittarius, the ninth house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Well, at this time, Sagittarius, it could be a time for you where you might be tired, exasperated, simply full. It could be of a bombastic or arrogant or domineering in-law or grandchild, if applicable. It could be the ending or completion or culmination of a Leo publishing matter. It can be something with, for example, it could be something with cardiology or something associated with children or creative writing. Maybe something with sports is another example, or writing connected with entertainment or movies. Anything that is Leo related, or romance book perhaps could be another example. And it may be a time too where it might shine the light, so to speak, on really at this time maybe to do something Leo related in higher education. If it could be against something with cardiology, or of course that's associated with children, or something maybe connected with sports. Some cases maybe it has to do with selling, or maybe something that has to do as well, again, with theater or entertainment as another example. And anyway, now the next thing up, okay, Mercury is going to be in Capricorn as far as February goes, from the 1st until the 14th. So for Leo, for Sagittarius, the second house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time for Sagittarius, now this might be a time where your mind may be very motivated and driven toward generating income, toward making money. Maybe it's doing so, being in Capricorn, very disciplined, consistent manner. Mercury in Capricorn could also be very introspective, and it could be where you're really looking at your own financial, monetary situation, your values at this time. It's also a time where you might feel like communicating more about Capricorn related matters, and it could be something with accounting or dentistry or the government or politics, information technology, and it's something that you may strongly value, and it might be something where it may wind up being a monetary endeavor as well. And it can be a time as well where the second house is about our self-worth, so it's could be a lot of introspective thinking regarding that. What is actually tied into your self-worth and self-esteem, and how you feel about yourself at this point in time. And it's also really, could even be very intransigent or inflexible thinking regarding your possessions at this time, your money, what you're doing monetarily at this point in time. And also too, Mercury is also connected with siblings, cousins, and neighbors. So these people may be factoring in more with your values and your self-worth and how you feel about yourself at this time. It could be, Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant people, or simply ones that embody Capricorn traits. Now, Mercury will be in Aquarius as far as February goes, from the 14th until the 28th. So the third house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. But anyway, now, so again, now this may manifest with Sagittarius. It could be having you're talking about Mercury and then the third house. So it's a very good time for Sagittarius as far as the transit goes. Could be communicating much about the future or astrology or computers, um, astronomy, might even be electronics, new technology, and these communications may involve siblings, cousins, and neighbors at this time. You might be a time too where, I mean, Mercury is also connected with short journeys, so it could also be very spontaneous, unexpected short journeys you may wind up taking. Um, with siblings, cousins, neighbors, people that were prominent in your early education, uh, and maybe a time too where the mind may be a little bit more restless at this time, and you may wind up, could also be where there may be more internet communications at this point in time. And also, the thing about this transit to Mercury and Aquarius and the third house being emphasized and highlighted, it might be a time too where you may wind up, thinking about really, I mean, Mercury and Aquarius thinking can sometimes be erratic and sporadic. I mean, and it may be regarding just matters, maybe activities that have to be done again with siblings, with cousins, with neighbors at this point in time. People that are prominent in your early education, and you may be even talking about your future with these people as well at this point in time. And the thing is, and also remember that Mercury is connected with siblings, cousins, and neighbors, and they may be Aquarius, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant people or embody those traits. And they might be dominating your thoughts at this time more so than usual. So anyway, well, the next thing up is Venus will be in Capricorn for the entire month of February 2022. So the second house will be emphasized and highlighted for Sagittarius. So this could be a time where you might be, it could be a time of valuing disciplined, structured spending. Maybe it could also be the enjoyment of doing Capricorn related things. It could be even doing things with math or accounting. Could be crafts, things that require structure, like die cast. Could be models, mountain climbing, as some examples. And maybe this plays a role in your your self-esteem, your self-worth, and how you feel about yourself. It could also be a time where you may be also valuing, it could be Capricorn, like latent talents and abilities. It could be just being very, being able to do things with information technology, or being able to construct things. Capricorn is connected with structure, or having some kind of business acumen, being a position of responsibility as some examples. And this could also be a very auspicious or propitious time for generating income, because you're talking about Venus being associated with money in the second house, which is connected with generating income, and it may be doing something Capricorn related, such as something with the government, information technology, dentistry, accounting, masonry, even general or mundane work at this time. And it's also might be a time where you require more peace and tranquility with those that you may be making money with at this point in time, and also valuing your possessions more so than usual at this point in time. And being in fact it's in Capricorn, it could be older ones as well. Maybe there's some kind of accounting tools, or there's something that you may have that's associated with architecture or construction. And these are could be possessions that you may value more so than usual at this time. Now we're going to go to Mars. Mars will be in Capricorn for the entirety of February 2022. So again, the second house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Well, at this time, which is Mars, of course, a fine contrast from Venus, could also, offset the peacefulness regarding, possessions maybe at this time. I mean, it could be a time where you may be actually become a little bit acerbic if somebody is messing with your possessions or belongings at this time. And it could be Mars and Capricorn. Of course, the anger is going to be a little bit more disciplined at this time and restricted, but at the same time it can be a time where you may be, again, there might be situations that are contentious over, over your possessions at this time, over matters with money. It could be where you felt somebody was responsible for paying you at a certain time and they weren't able to live up to it. These could be possessions too that might be older, since we're talking about Capricorn energy, or there could be possessions connected with construction or architecture or something with something for accounting, like an adding machine or something, or some kind of calculator perhaps, or things that require structure, such as even simply die cast models as some examples. And it also can be a time where you might have a lot of drive and motivation toward consistently making money, doing so perhaps in a regimented Capricorn-like fashion. And it might also be a time too, it could be doing something Capricorn related as far as generating income goes, such as something with the government, information technology, dentistry, accounting, construction, as some examples. Now, anyway, the next thing up. Well, Jupiter is going to be in Pisces for the entire month of February 2022. So the fourth house is what will be emphasized and highlighted for Capricorn at this time. Well, for Capricorn, it might be a time, for Sagittarius, it may be a time where it could be very fortuitous. It could be for home and family related matters, even prosperity, doing something out of the home. It may be doing something Pisces related, such as something with the metaphysical, which includes astrology or poetry, dancing, photography. It may be it could be doing something with maybe fiction or fantasy writing, or some kind of fantasy game production in some cases. You might find at this time as well, as I've stated in previous videos and stated again, that Jupiter can be very paradoxical. It could be very strongly benign and benevolent, but it could also have a tendency to enlarge and expand, and may enlarge deception or duplicity in your home life, or chaos in your home life even, or and it also might enlarge very nebulous and unclear family members. It might enlarge and expand your roots, maybe your ancestry being somewhat nebulous or obscure or unclear at this point in time. But you may also have a lot of enthusiasm and exuberance in sacrificing for family, for showing compassion and forgiveness toward these people you're close to home with. And also it can enlarge idealism for the latter part of life, where you want to be at this time, or even expand Piscean qualities at the core, such as expressing compassion, altruism, sacrifice, forgiveness, idealism at this time, and even emotion. But also it can enlarge the negative qualities too, I would say, such as being gullible or impressionable, easily deceived, or even deceptive as well. So anyway, well, the next thing up, Saturn will be in Aquarius for the entirety of February 2022. So the third house is what will be emphasized and highlighted for Sagittarius. It can be a time where you're thinking you might be a little bit more despondent at this time, more so than usual. It might also maybe some restrictions and limitations in your communications in general. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. But anyway, I've stated this in previous videos, I'll state it again, is that Saturn in Aquarius, collectively, the way I believe it's impacting society now is that what it is, because the COVID variant is still at least somewhat prevalent, and it's causing more of a restriction, being in society in general, just going outside, engaging with friends, being in groups. And the thing about this is, it's about a time where the fact that the third house will be emphasized and highlighted for Sagittarius transit. It can be where it may be impacting situations with siblings, with cousins, with neighbors, more so than usual, just general communications. We're also, at this time as well, but at the same time, on a positive note, it could also manifest for Sagittarius in having structured and disciplined internet communications, being on social media and communicating in that fashion at this time. And it's also a time too where there might even be a time, this could also be about very more consistent, having structured very short journeys at this time. Maybe it's expressed with altruism and selflessness. It can be for people in your community. It could also be a lot of laborious work at this time. You may be working hard on an Aquarius type writing project. It can be writing something about computers or astronomy or astrology, electronics, the future, science fiction at this point in time. But it could also indicate restrictions in rational thinking, so it's important to be careful at this time. Sagittarius, it could be greater chance for despondency, even depression, because Saturn is connected with those things, and the third house is the rational mind. Now, anyway, next thing up, Uranus will be in Taurus for the entirety of February 2022. So the sixth house is what will be emphasized and highlighted at this time. Well, this can manifest in a number of ways for you, Sagittarius. It could be a time where you may be doing something with your employment that's Uranus related. It could be doing something with computers or electronics or astronomy, astrology, meteorology, aviation. It might also indicate there might be instability with money, and it's of course a sixth house tied into the employment, as an example is how it could manifest. But also be a time too where your employment situation just may be erratic and sporadic in general, and your daily routine, your schedule may be thrown off kilter. You may be doing something one day, and then having to go do something at a completely different time the next day, or things of that nature. And it could also be a time where you may be experiencing a Uranus health related issues. It could be could be something associated with the ankles, the shins, the calves, the nerves, the circulation. It may be something that may be more persistent because Taurus is involved, or it could be something very sporadic and erratic that is Taurus related, such as like an intermittent twitch in the neck or throat area at this time, or some kind of spasms, or even some isolated cases. It could be some unusual protrusion or growth in the throat or neck area at this time. As some examples. So it's also about expressing, let's say, more humanitarianism and selflessness in the daily routine, and even perhaps even Taurus-like friendships may be more prominent in your daily routine. The friendships could be Taurus, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant people, or simply ones that embody Taurian characteristics. Now, anyway, well, the next thing up, Neptune will still be in Pisces, so the fourth house is what will be emphasized and highlighted for Sagittarius. Well, at this time, it could indicate that you may be expressing more compassion and forgiveness toward family members, but it could also enlarge deception and duplicity in those people. You may be expressing Neptunian traditions at this time. It could be something connected with poetry or dancing or photography. Um, Maybe it's something connected with illusions such as magic tricks, or something with the metaphysical, which can include astrology. Um, Maybe there's some confusion of who you are at the core, or it could be where at this time, in some cases, sadly, this could indicate the dissolving or dissipation of one's home and family life, or maybe even there's something with your roots and ancestry that is very nebulous or unclear. In some cases, it could also indicate flooding in the home in isolated cases. Remember, transits do last for a pretty prolonged, these Neptune transits do last for a prolonged time period. So of course it increases the propensity of that happening. When you're talking about Neptune and the fact that it is a generational planet, and the transits do last for a good time. But anyway, um, and also just be careful in matters regarding homes at this time. If you actually do anything with homes, or you're trying to if you're trying to purchase a home. Make sure you're seeing all the fine print in this time, because Neptune and Pisces energy can have a tendency to gloss over the details of things, and this includes family members as well. Uh, and Anyway, last but not least, Pluto will be in Capricorn still, and of course for the entire month of February 2022. So the second house is what will be emphasized and highlighted for Sagittarius. Now, in some cases, you might feel like your self-esteem and self-worth, how you feel about yourself, is obliterated and destroyed. But it could also give you more passion and desire to generate money at this time. You may be also making money, doing something Pluto related. It could be something with insurance or recycling or taxes or the occult, which includes astrology. And it might be a time where you're trying to gain more power and control over your own money, or there may even be power struggles with what you believe is your own money, your possessions at this time. But it could also, this is also a time, for you at this time, again, to where people, I would say, second house is connected with your self-worth and self-esteem. As I stated before, it could be about where you feel it might be destroyed, but it could also be maybe having more, of a passion, desire in matters with it. It could be in some cases to improve it. It might be a time where you more, the second house is also, about our latent, talents and abilities. There could be doing something, maybe being, looking deep into things, or being able to transform things, such as, could be a vehicle. It could be, something with art, with sculpting. There might be more, also other abilities, maybe something with the occult, which includes astrology, in some cases. So, and also it's important not to become overly obsessed or fixated, on trying to, make money at this time, because there are more, important things in life than making money. If you have enough, you're surviving and subsisting. You don't always need a lot more than that, because when you become obsessed and fixated on things, it could also, what it can do is, it could dominate your existence, and you become oblivious to other things in your life. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.